Hello and welcome back to the Powering Thoughts podcast. So this is going to be the second episode, and in this one I've decided that I'm going to share a little bit around the whole concept of balance and finding success. So in my life, I've kind of worked out that if you want to have a balanced life, then you have to be willing to sacrifice achieving your dreams. I know it's a very, very weird concept because a lot of us think or desire a healthy work-life balance or a lifestyle that is balanced where we can kind of get a little bit of everything that we need the most. Now, in my life, I've kind of worked out that if there is something that you seriously want more than anything else, then the only way in which you can actually obtain it is to single-mindedly pursue that one thing. And the antidote to preventing the other core pillars of your life from crumbling or flaking away is to do a process of counterbalancing. Now, this is what I'm going to be going over in this podcast episode. So it's quite an interesting topic that I find that a lot of us struggle with because everyone wants success. Everyone wants a little bit more than what they have now. And that can be for a lot of different reasons. That can be because people are greedy. It can be because people have a terrible life and they want something better than what they've been living. And so to succeed, I don't think is a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing to want to be able to be more than what you are currently now. I actually think that's one of the most important things that we can do is to be able to define a single thing that nothing would compromise our pursuit of achieving it. Now, that doesn't mean that along the way something else better can't come along. I completely agree that that is possible and understand that is possible. But I think one of the most important things that we all need to do so that we're not aimlessly wandering and just allowing life to happen to us is to actually intentionally live our lives towards the obtainment of one single ideal or belief or need or something in which that we are aiming at. And the reason why I say this is because a lot of us want and feel like we need more and don't have enough, and a lot of people complain because they look at their current lives and they realize, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm further behind than this person or that person, or this person has more than me. And the reason that is, in a lot of cases, is yes, luck does play a part. However, if you work hard, then you also become luckier. Now, a lot of people that you're comparing yourself to that have more, or they have the lives that you want, knew that that's what they wanted and they worked as hard as they possibly could to get it. And the likelihood is, in a lot of cases, that they actually worked harder than you did to get that thing, because you now want exactly what they have because you've seen that they have it and you're comparing yourself. You don't actually have your own ideal of what you want, and so what you've done is you've taken what that person has and gone, oh well, that's what I've always wanted and it's unfair that they have it. Now, the point of this is that you need to live your own life. You need to define what your one thing is that you're aiming at. That way that you can find that in your pursuit and even in the journey towards it, you can look at other people and go, that's great that they've got it, that they've got that makes them happy, but that's not what I'm going for. I'm going for this, and come hell or high water, I'm going to get it. That, I think, is one of the most important ways in which not enough of us actually live. I did this for a long time with basketball, where between the ages of 14 and 23, I drank less than 5 times and I went clubbing equal to or less than that. And the reason was because I believed that if I wanted to fulfill this promise of looking after my mum and my brother after my dad passed away, I had to become a professional basketball player. So if anything that was able to impact that, I had to cut out of my life, because it would jeopardize the chances even slightly that I could achieve that thing, because I may have just done something. Maybe I went out clubbing one too many times, so when the perfect opportunity did come up, I didn't want to ever have to look back and look at myself and go, the reason I didn't achieve it or didn't get that thing is because of me. And so the reason I bring up the whole idea of balance is because when I was living this way, it taught me a lot of things, but also as well, you seriously realize how much it impacts everything else. Now, if you give everyone and everything equal amounts of your time, then you're not actually giving any time to yourself. And you're not actually allowing anything to develop far enough to actually give yourself the opportunity to have everything that you could have, or everything you could be, or everything that you want. So it comes with that whole idea of when you're in an airplane and it's crashing, that it gives you the mask and you need to put it on yourself first before you help other people. Now, one of the most important things that we can do is define that one thing, that dream, that ideal, that vision, that's what we're aiming for. And often when you actually live intentionally towards that thing, along the way, people will come along and either they're the people that will help you towards it or they won't. And it makes it a hell of a lot easier to let go of the people that don't help than it is to keep the ones that do. And I kind of somewhat describe life in this way as we're all in our own car. We all need to know where we're driving to. Now, you can drive forever, and often at times you'll end up that you'll just get lost and you'll see someone else driving somewhere else, go, oh, that looks nice, I wish I was on that road, and you'll go to that road and you'll never actually reach any destination. Now, you need to have something in mind that you're aiming for. If you have nothing, this can be anything, because having something is better than nothing. Being in this car, what happens is you're driving along and people will get in and out the car. Some people will be in it for longer than others. Now, I used to realize, I've had some amazing friends. I've had some relationships with people who have really influenced my life, and I've worked with people that have also really influenced my life. And the way I like to describe this is when we're in our car and we're driving towards this destination of the thing that we want, different people will come in your car at different times, and they will be in the car for a different amount of periods of time, or they will be in your car for different lengths of time. And sometimes someone who's been with you in that car for years will have less impact on you than someone that's in it for 5 minutes, because someone who's been in it for 5 minutes might go to you, you know that you're driving 100 miles an hour this way, you're not looking at anything else. Have you looked out to the right and seen that other route? And when you see that route, you actually may go, that's more me, that's better, and would complete me more and make me happier driving down that road towards that than it does on the road that I am currently on. And I feel in that case, if you do wish to change the route in which you're driving and the people who are in your car don't like the change, then again, it's your car. Tell them to get out and drive their own. I think a lot of us are way too scared to hold on to people and things and attachments to places, and we give them way too much weight and bearing on our lives than the reality of the fact that you are the one who actually has to live with themselves. And when you are older, you'll always look back and only regret the decisions that you didn't make than the ones that you did. And I think it's a hell of a lot better to get to somewhere and go, oh damn, I wish I did that differently, because I think it's better that you look back on your life and realize that you were responsible for every action that you made than you lived the life that someone else told you that you should. So the point of this is to say that I know a lot of people are going to struggle going, well, I don't know what that one thing is, because I had that issue for a long time where it's, well, after basketball, so, well, what is my one thing? What am I aiming at? What am I doing? And what is of equal weight to this? And the point is that could be anything, this one thing. It can be being the best husband you can be, being the best person you can at your current job. It could be that you want to be a millionaire. It can be anything. But while you're looking for something you don't know, look at what's immediately around you. What makes you happy? What sort of engages you? What the biggest indication that you're doing something that you enjoy is the flow state. And the flow state to me is a massive example or indication that you are doing the right thing at the right time and you are who you're supposed to be when you're doing it. So for instance, when I used to play basketball, when I write blogs, or when I do this podcast, time just flies by, because I'm in that zone where you forget to eat, you forget to sleep, you forget to do anything because you're so engaged and enjoying the thing that you're doing. Now, I think that in everyone's life there is something like that, and it's different between a flow state is very different from being passive and sitting on the TV and watching time just fly by. Being in the flow state is being engaged in an activity, so much so that you are slightly outside of your comfort zone or beyond your realm of capabilities, that it's in taking up all of your capacity in which to enjoy it and to take it in and to actually be able to do it. So look for those things. And the way that I like to say it is, again, with this whole idea that when you're on level 0, it's very difficult to get to level 1, but when you're on level 1, it's a lot easier to get to level 2. So where you're currently at in life, there is something that you are doing every day that brings you some sense of joy, that gives you some sense of meaning, or the time just flies by when you are doing it. Look for that thing and then sort of work out what it is about that thing that causes that flow state to happen. So for me, when I was playing basketball, it was the whole being creative. It was putting the hard work in that you see the results afterwards. So you put in a week of hard work, you see the impact you have on the court the next time is because of that hard work that you put in. Now, when I left basketball and I started going to the gym quite a lot for the next few years, and I would find that I got the same reward but in a better way. So in the basketball sense, I was limited by the beliefs that other people had of me that would prevent me from going any further, no matter the hard work that I would put in. Yet with the gym, the motivation was completely internal, because if I did a week or a month of hard work, I could physically see the results and I could see the numbers of the weights that I was lifting was going up. And so again, getting that reward system of understanding what you're putting in, you're getting out, is a very important thing in anything in which you are doing. I think that's a very important aspect of this one thing that you choose to add to your ideal, your vision that you're aiming at. So in regards to this, I would say that everything that you do, look for something that provides you that sense of fulfillment, that sense of flow. And it is like putting a coin when you start in one of those things that spirals inwards and inwards and inwards until it reaches the middle. So when you indicate what it is in this first, on sort of level 0, you sort of enhance, you magnify what that is and find out, okay, if I enjoy doing this, this is a bigger aspect of this. So for instance, when I started working at the gym, I was the sales, marketing, and social media manager, and I found that being responsible for creating content and copy and marketing elements, that when you use data alongside it, you can actually see how your work is impacting thousands of people. To me, that was fascinating. And I was like, if I can do this and I expand it in this area, then I can see a larger result. And again, that result is then actually can be linked to financials, and you can actually see the pictures you're creating with certain colors, with certain words, and being put in certain ways is causing people to react in a certain way, which is increasing income from this dimension. Now, to me, that was fascinating. And so when I left and I've gone to a marketing agency, it's the same thing on a larger scale for more businesses. And so that coin, again, is spinning inwards and inwards and inwards. I found what it is in one thing and expanded it by choosing something else that does it more. And again, going back to the car analogy, I obviously was driving down a road, discovered that, okay, this element I really liked, saw that there was a road that went off that did it more, went down there. But I'm still in my head, I know where I'm going because all of it's part of the same thing, but I can adjust it depending on this sense of fulfillment I'm getting from those tasks that make up what is in essence the ideal. It's so important that your time is so much more valuable than you realize. And if you want to be able to achieve or get to that one thing, the quickest way of doing it is only doing what gives you the most amount of reward. So for instance, in your life, you're probably working towards your ideal. There's an 80-20 principle. And so it's probably that 80% of the things you're doing every single day aren't actually bringing you results. There's only 20% that is. So look at what that 20% is and try and cut out as much of the 80% as you can. Now, where this becomes difficult, and I found it with basketball, is when you're obsessively doing one thing, you cut out every element of everything else that is also healthy. So me being so obsessive about achieving these goals in basketball impacted relationships, impacted friendships, impacted this and that. And I didn't understand fully the whole concept of counterbalancing. And that is something that is extremely important when it comes to pursuing your vision or your goal, even working it out. Because if you spend, and the way that I liked it is how Tim Ferriss explained it in his 4-Hour Work Week book, and it's the idea that if you spend 3 months doing intense hard work, then you then spend a week or 2 weeks or 1 month counterbalancing it so that you reinforce and repair the damage that was caused to those other pillars. So for instance, if you're aiming towards a job promotion, then that means that you're not as good of a husband or a son or something like that, then sometimes that's necessary and you have to do everything you can to achieve that promotion. But once you've hit that goal, you need to spend the adequate time to repair the impact it's had on the other dimensions of your life. So take your wife, your girlfriend, to somewhere for a week and just say, look, it's just us two, and this is the most important thing to me in this time because I have had to have done this to obtain this because it's what matters to me most. But you are of equal importance, but I can't compromise this vision because it's getting me to where I need to be, that gives me purpose in life. You are a necessary part of that, and that's why I'm giving you the adequate time to obviously make sure that this is still a healthy, rewarding relationships that is two-way. Whereas if you are working towards this promotion and you're also trying to be equally the absolute best person you can be to everyone else, so people need your help changing their bathroom, painting this new wall in their new home, they've gone through something difficult and they need your time, or your girlfriend needs you to do this. If you're doing all of those things, that's going to impact you achieving this promotion. So I would stress the importance of going, this is my time, this is important, this is what I'm going for. I can only take on one of these other things, possibly at most. So these other things are going to have to go. Now, that's going to mean that a lot of people are going to fall out of your life, but you've got to decide which sacrifice is more important to you. Is achieving your dream more important, or is being everyone's best friend more important? Because when you end up getting to your 60s, are you still going to be as close with them, or are you going to look back and regret that you didn't give that one thing your all? Now, this is something that no one can tell you the right answer. These are the decisions that you've got to make for yourself, but you've got to realize that, again, every single decision that you make is impacting the end result. Now, if you do want these things that you talk about, you have to make the necessary sacrifices to do it. When I was playing basketball and I was trying to maintain being a chairman, being a good boyfriend, doing my course, working full time, it impacted my health heavily. I ended up getting pneumonia and it was terrible. I was trying to carry way too much and it caused a hell of amount of stress and it impacted every single dimension even more. So cut out what is unnecessary by choosing what is most important. And then the things that still need to be in your life, work out how to counterbalance it so you can bring it back and repair the damage that was caused by obsessively going towards and achieving that one thing. That way, when you look back and you have achieved that thing and you're surrounded by the things you've also maintained, you'll be happier than, I believe, than if you tried to sustain and do everything, because you end up not getting anywhere. Because it's that whole idea that if you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one. Now, again, to close this podcast, I would extremely urge you to look at the dimensions of your life, what it is you want most, and what is impacting you achieving that, and then making the necessary changes to realign your life so that you can optimize your living towards achieving that thing. Because I think, personally, that having a desire or an ideal that you're working towards that is internal to you is so much more valid than living the ways in which other people tell you that you should, because at the end you're only going to look back and be resentful of others, and you're going to hate yourself for not having lived the way that you wish you should have. So yeah, that would be my argument, is if you do wish to have everything that you want, then you've got to understand that you can't have balance, and the only way in which you can actually sustain those other things that are of equal importance is to use the process of counterbalancing. And it's a very, very difficult thing to do, but sometimes the most difficult things to do are the necessary things. And again, by cutting out those things that are still important but aren't as important as the main thing that you're aiming at, it will actually stand out to you as time passes what is the most important thing. And again, you can adjust and change the route in which you're driving down, but the only way you can do that is through taking action, choosing one thing and adjusting along the way. But you have to have something in mind, you have to have something you're aiming at, otherwise you're just driving around aimlessly and not going anywhere. To close out this podcast, I would just state, look for that state of flow. If you don't know where you're going, look for that state of flow in what you're currently doing. If you find that state of flow, try and magnify it and find something else that does that to a larger extent, and keep following that sense of fulfillment, that sense of flow. Because I like where Jordan Peterson said it, is that is your future you telling you who you're supposed to be. So do that thing and then magnify it, keep magnifying it, keep making the choices to keep going that direction. Know then that in pursuing that and then having a tangible goal, you will need to make necessary sacrifices for it to actually become a reality. And then when that becomes clear, work out what in your life is important to you, and you're going to have to cut out the things that are indicative of causing you to reach that goal. And as Friedrich Nietzsche says, no one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life, no one but yourself alone. You have to choose something and you have to take action towards it. And it's much better to live in pursuit of meaning, doing something that brings you purpose, than it is to wander aimlessly. Because the only person at the end of your life, the only person you can look back on and blame is you. If you're blaming other people, then you lived wrong. So yeah, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions, feedback, obviously let me know. Thank you. Bye.